The film opens on the Colombian border as a transport truck crosses the checkpoint. Once it comes to a halt, a wooden crate is pried open and Kris emerges. However, he immediately realizes it's a setup. The driver and his partner have decided to betray him and steal his money, despite already being paid for the transport. Following the confrontation, Kris stands before the grave of a woman dear to him, whispering that the time has come to fulfill his promise. Meanwhile, on the other side of the city, we are introduced to Elisa, the daughter of the wealthy tycoon Vicente. Her life appears perfect as she returns from school to her attentive father, but beneath this facade of luxury lies a pathological fear and an iron-fisted control that her father exerts over her. At the same time, a mysterious man wearing gloves appears in a cafe, refusing to leave even though it's closing time. He begins a sadistic psychological game with the waitress, Alex, forcing her to eat a piece of cake at the point of a blade hidden beneath his prosthetic iron hand. A policewoman intervenes just in time to defuse the situation and kicks the man out. It turns out that the officer and Alex are actually friends, but their relief is short-lived. As soon as they step into their patrol car, the madman reappears from the back seat and brutally slaughters them both. In the midst of these events, Elisa is traveling in her luxury car under heavy security. At a traffic light, a scruffy-looking window washer approaches. When the guards refuse to pay him, he smashes the car's side mirror. Vicente's rage ignites as he orders his men to spread out everywhere, offering a massive bounty for his daughter's return. On the other side, Kris pulls the car over, only for Elisa to blindside him, striking him with a tire iron before fleeing into the wilderness. Kris pursues her, trying to convince her to stop. He shows her an old photograph of himself with her mother, explaining that she was the one who sent him for her protection. Elisa initially refuses to believe him, claiming her mother died years ago, but Kris reveals it was a long-standing promise to save her from Vicente. To earn her trust, he hands her his pistol and tells her to aim it at his head. She fires a shot into the air to ensure it's loaded before finally agreeing to follow him. During the journey, the car runs out of fuel, and despite Kris's warnings, Elisa seeks help from a group of strangers and attempts to contact her father.
Back off! Don't! Come here! Walk! Get in there!
Amidst her resistance, Kris finally breaks and reveals the shocking truth that he is her biological father. Silence follows the revelation, and Elisa suddenly calms down, telling him she is hungry. As Kris drives away, he realizes their journey is only beginning, while hidden eyes watch them from the shadows. Meanwhile, Vicente issues orders to his right-hand man to double the bounty, prompting the latter to contact the iron-handed assassin to solidify their alliance in tracking down the kidnapped daughter. On the other side, Kris is struggling with Elisa's rebellion as she questions the reason for his 15-year absence. Kris delivers the first shock by revealing that he was imprisoned for that entire duration. Looking at Elisa, Kris sees a mirror image of her mother, the woman he strongly suspects was murdered by Vicente. However, Elisa refuses to believe him, continuing to defend the man who raised her. Their conversation had barely concluded when an armed group suddenly launched an ambush against them. Kris brutally interrogates one of the survivors until he extracts the location where Elisa was taken. Meanwhile, Elisa is delivered to a high-risk hideout where a phone call takes place between her and Vicente. She confronts him directly about his involvement in her mother's death, which he flatly denies. However, the revelation strikes him like a lightning bolt when she tells him that Kris claims to be her biological father. At that very moment, the madman storms the building, unleashing a merciless and bloody massacre. Kris manages to escape with Elisa, and during their flight, he finally unveils the dark truth of their past. He reveals that he, Vicente, and her mother were once part of a professional bank robbing crew, bound by a strict code of honor never to kill. However, when her mother became pregnant with her, Kris decided to retire after one final heist to secure their future. But Vicente's betrayal was swifter. He planted evidence that led the police straight to Kris's door, stealing 15 years of his life and seizing control of his family. Meanwhile, the madman continues to assert his dominance in the streets, seizing a vehicle at gunpoint after a brutal assault on its owners. In a rare, quiet moment, Kris and Elisa share an emotional bond while listening to a street band play her mother's favorite song. Kris tells her that the necklace she wears was his gift to her mother, chosen because she was as resilient as a diamond. On the other side of the city, Vicente inspects the site of the massacre left behind by the assassin. Reviewing the security footage, he realizes with horror that the devil himself is now hunting them. Despite Kris's plan to smuggle Elisa to her aunt in America to fulfill his promise, their conflict reignites, leading Elisa to flee and drive off on her own.
Hey, stop! Lisa, get down!
Let's go. Come on. I'm sorry.
It's not your fault.
Kris wakes up to find himself bound by the neck in the middle of the city square, at the utter mercy of Vicente. Despite Vicente's initial intent to eliminate him, Kris convinces him that they now share a single goal: rescuing Elisa. Suddenly, Vicente receives a chilling call from the assassin, who dictates the meeting location and mockingly thanks Vicente's assistant for helping him kidnap the girl. Without a second thought, Vicente executes his assistant on the spot for his betrayal. As they head toward the old cement factory, Vicente reveals the dark secret of this killer. He is a professional hitman Vicente had hired in the past, but whose madness eventually crossed all limits. He had famously escaped a prison guarded by 15 men by severing his own hand to slip out of the shackles. Vicente describes him as a heartless demon who has now taken Elisa as a pawn to exact his ultimate revenge. The group finally arrives at the cement factory, setting the stage for the final confrontation.
Move. Elisa. Elisa. Hey.
The following day, Elisa stands in solemn silence at her mother's grave. Suddenly, Kris emerges from behind her, showing us that he has survived the final carnage. At long last, the father and daughter are united, finally leaving the ghosts of the past behind.